Giants fans, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Only a Giant. It's been a little while. It's been a little over a month, I would say, roughly. Actually, almost a month and a half since my last podcast. Took a little bit of a break after the draft and draft review. Not a lot going on, in the NFL world. Obviously, voluntary mini camps happened and then actual mini camp happened. But nothing that I could really necessarily report on or talk about too much. And let's be real too, I was going through some intense stuff with work here and just trying to get through that, and here we are, made it through, doing good, ready to start off kind of almost a second season here as the season's approaching, and excited to be here. Sorry for the delay. I'm sure no one shed a tear for the fact that I hadn't released any new episodes recently, but I'm back, and hopefully here on out we'll be a little bit more consistent with at least once a week, and then we'll see how it goes from when the season actually gets here. Maybe we'll go back to 2 times a week. So this episode, we'll do our normal. We'll do a beer of the episode. I'm not really going to review this beer on Untapped because this is a staple. This is a beer that I've had for a little while now. It's one of my favorite beers, probably, and it's just a good beer. We'll get into a little bit of current news, which once again there really isn't a lot going on. The schedule was released. We'll talk about that a little bit. Mini camps and everything happened, and nothing really of note. No significant injuries, so it kind of worked out good. I also want to do a top 5 players that I thought had a really good chance at an NFL career with the Giants and didn't. This is actually even going all the way back to, I believe, the 2002 draft. Yes, 2002 draft. We will end the episode with Eli Manning's first start in the 2005 NFL season. Wow, how did I not even talk about that? We'll obviously have to talk about Eli Manning, his number being retired, getting into the Ring of Honor, and then obviously joining the Giants in a role in the front office, which is pretty sweet. So let's get right to it. So beer of the episode is going to be Fiddlehead Brewing, and it is the Fiddlehead IPA, which to me is just, it's a good beer. Good overall beer, solid IPA. For the longest time, I really couldn't find these anywhere around me. So just kind of had to take it when I could get it. You'd see it at restaurants every once in a while, on tap, and kind of had to jump on it. Ever since COVID hit, I feel like, at least especially with this area, beers started being distributed a little bit further, which was awesome. Definitely made it a little bit easier for me to get some of the beers that I really like and enjoy them. So yeah, once again, I'm not really going to do a beer review. I'm just going to say cheers to you guys. Cheers to all the Giants fans. Cheers to all the NFL fans. Cheers to anyone listening. I really appreciate you. And yeah, here we go. Gotta love it. So yeah, let's get into a little bit of the current news. Obviously, Eli Manning's joining the New York Giants organization, which is something kind of long time coming. I think there had been rumors that he wanted to be a part of the organization for a while now. Obviously, I think it would have been cool if he was somehow involved with the coaching staff or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know if that's something that he would ever actually have interest in doing. But the fact that he's joining, I don't remember his exact title. I know it's something to do with fan engagement as well. But that's going to be a really cool role for him. And then throw in September 26th, they are retiring his jersey and inducting him into the Ring of Honor. So, that might be a game. I think that's good at the Atlanta Falcons. I might have to try to make my way down there this year for that. That's actually my birthday too, so it kind of works out as possibly a good time. Other news, minicamp happened, voluntary minicamp happened, Kadarius Toney wasn't there for it, or part of it he wasn't there, and he had some cleat issues in rookie minicamp. A lot of much to do about nothing, I guess, is really kind of how I would view it. He was there for the mandatory minicamp. Most of the people that were expected to be there were there. Really, the biggest thing I could say about any of the minicamp stuff is we made it out without any significant injuries. Nothing earth-shattering happened. Players were able to get out there and kind of learn a little bit. Danny Dimes is working with all the receivers and offensive linemen, and just kind of a good overall showing, I think, for what we can hope. But once again, we came out with no injuries. That's first and foremost in my mind, because there's been plenty of times when we have had injuries in these mini camps or rookie mini camps, and it's frustrating. Obviously training camp's coming up, and that's another spot where these things tend to happen. You kind of got to hope you make it out alive and come out and ready to roll for the regular season. My friend Bart actually asked me about what I thought was going to happen with Saquon. Is he going to be a full go? And is this something that maybe the Giants are a little leery to, give him a long-term deal because of it? And, I don't think they're going to be leery to the idea of giving him a long-term deal, but it's going to be kind of weird because obviously the league isn't going to want to pay a running back, a significant amount of money. And the times that it has happened recently has not worked out. So I think he's going to have a lot going against him. And that might make it a little tough for the Giants. But I think if he comes through, 6-7 games into the season and looking good and looking healthy, I think they'll be really ready to just get that deal done, keep him locked up as a Giant for his career. He'll be the next potential Eli Manning type of player, who hopefully spends his whole career with the Giants and retires with the Giants. Albeit, I guess it will kind of depend on this type of deal that he gets and how long the deal is, because, it's tough to pay a running back a lot of money. I do think there's a little bit of a shift going on right now where maybe not this season, but kind of in the future, in the next couple of seasons, that we might kind of get back to running the ball a little bit more. Or maybe that's just what I want because it's such a pass-happy league right now. So I could be wrong on that. But yeah, that's the basics of stuff that's going on right now. Really nothing too crazy. The schedule was released. We open up against Denver, and that's a home game, I believe. Yeah, it's a home game. And that could be kind of interesting because there's rumors going on right now that Denver will be on Hard Knocks and kind of just, a little bit of a team that you're not really sure what's going to happen with. Is Drew Lock their starter? Is someone else their starter? They have a lot of, talent on that team. But for the Giants, I think it's kind of a good team to open up against. It could be a team to kind of get some confidence rolling for us and hopefully come out with a win and kind of get the season going. The schedule we'll talk a little bit more about in the coming weeks. I think I have a couple episodes planned with some people, Murph from Clapback Sports and some other people, some friends, to kind of do like a schedule prediction type of thing. I think that'll be a fun idea. That's all I'll really talk about for the schedule. I do have one other actually a Twitter question to answer as well, which we'll do that really quick right now. Kyle Kish asks, what are your thoughts about Trey Lance and the 49ers trade to get him? Kyle, thanks for the question, man. I do appreciate any questions that are asked, and it doesn't even have to be Giants. I do like the league in general. NFL's a blast to me, so I'll answer any questions I can. And, I think the 49ers gave up a lot to get him. I had a feeling at the time that it was going to be Mac Jones, but I really was hoping it wasn't going to be. Because I think Trey Lance is definitely the better option. He's someone that you can build around. And let's be real, what is Jimmy Garoppolo? What are your other options there? Are you in a win now mode, or are you in a rebuild mode? And when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo and you look at Trey Lance, I don't think you can say you're in a win now mode with Jimmy Garoppolo, because he just hasn't proven to be able to stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to prove to be reliable at all and consistent with what he's doing. So I think drafting Trey Lance maybe puts them in a little bit more of, looking ahead to the future, but it had to happen sooner or later. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the answer. I thought it would have been kind of interesting to see him go back to New England and see if he can do something there, but it didn't happen. And that's my thoughts on that. So, I mean, I'd say overall, I think it's a good trade. I think they gave up a little bit too much, but sometimes you have to, look at Eli Manning. I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to be Eli Manning, but, sometimes you have to bet the farm a little bit to get the guy you want. Giants fans and NFL fans, what an exciting 2021 NFL draft it was. Did your team draft the players you wanted? Did your team make any spectacular moves or blunders, like trading back like the Giants did? Amazing. Think you could do better? If you do, you'll get your chance on September 10th when Greats of the Gridiron is released on Steam for the PC. Greats of the Gridiron is a football simulation experience unlike any other where you need to outdraft, outdesign, outcoach other coaches from around the world if you want to win the coveted Gridiron Bowl and stake your claim to greatness. You're in total control of your team. You draft, you can scout, you can upgrade players and build a dynasty. Design every aspect of the offense, defense, and special teams plays. Determine how and when the plays will be called by the computer when your team matches up against other computers, or better yet, other coaches in an online league. Best thing yet, guys, you can do this with friends and, maybe talk a little smack and lay the beat down. The game features single player and multiplayer, online franchises, online draft, up to 15 default teams, 10 to 16 game seasons, including playoffs, and more stats than any analytics geek could want. I love stats. Stats are definitely my go-to. Sign up today and be ready for kickoff by wishlisting on Steam, search Greats of the Gridiron, or go to www.greatsofthegridiron.com. Tell them I sent you. Won't get you anything, but hey, what's it hurt? Let's jump right into top 5 players I thought had a chance at a good NFL career. And there's really no particular order to this, I guess. But the last one probably hurts me the most because that was, it's one of the ones that hurts me the most because I really had high hopes for this player. But we'll start off with number 1 for me was Tim Carter, and we drafted him in the second round in the 2002 draft. Just kind of had it all. Had speed. He was coming out of, I want to say Auburn. I could be wrong on that though. No, I think it's Auburn. And just someone that I thought would come in and take the top off the defense. I was pretty young at this time, so I think for me, maybe I was just more excited by the fact that it was a receiver. I don't know. But he was someone that I kind of gravitated towards a lot and, really wanted to see him be successful with the Giants. And he just never was. His rookie year, he played in 5 games. His second year, he played in 12, but only started 2. Third year, he played in 5, kind of a lot of injury stuff. And he just, nothing ever clicked with the Giants. His best year, I guess you could say, was his second year with the Giants where he had 26 receptions. And nothing ever worked. He stayed with the Giants until 2006, played for Cleveland for a year, and then played for St. Louis Rams for a year. And that was it, down in the league. So, I guess he had kind of a successful NFL career in the fact that he was in the league until he was 30. But just, a player that came in and had some hype, and just really didn't do much. Never really lived up to any type of expectations. Had some injury history for sure. Just nothing ever really worked. Number 2, and this one we're all going to be pretty familiar with at this point. This one definitely hurt a little bit because I had high hopes for this player after his rookie year. I'm sure you can guess who it is just based off of that, I hope. Ryan Connolly. Someone that we drafted in I believe it was a 5th round. Yeah, 5th round out of Wisconsin. Came in his rookie year and really was lighting it up in training camp, lighting it up in preseason. doing everything he could do to earn that starting role. And he finally gets it. And, he starts in 3 games his rookie year and has a couple of interceptions and just kind of does everything that he could do to like solidify that position for us and show some spark and show some life in our defense. And then he gets hurt and he's down for the year. Then it kind of gets into this weird, regime change. Is he going to make it? Everyone kind of assumes he's going to because, the flashes that he showed. But Judge's staff just, I guess, didn't like him. Didn't like what they probably wanted him to be a little bit more versatile, and maybe he didn't come back from the injury quite as, quite as clean as maybe we thought. I guess kind of the proof of everything too is he did get claimed by the Minnesota Vikings and was there for 14 games, was active, but his total stat line for the year was 6 tackles. So they claimed him and didn't really use him too much either. So I guess maybe that's some proof that maybe something was still going on, but he was a player that I was super pumped for. I was ready to buy this guy's jersey thinking that, he's going to come back and be a stud for this defense, and just didn't happen. It kind of just faded right away, and you could kind of feel it too. I'm trying to remember the linebacker's name that was starting over him. Can't think of it off the top of my head. But I was like, why him? Man, he's terrible. But hey, obviously it wasn't going to work with the Giants. It just wasn't going to work with what Patrick Graham wanted to run. And probably it's still, once again, kind of my guess is he probably just wasn't quite versatile enough for what they were looking for, and maybe not completely healthy either. So yeah, Ryan Connolly was number 2. Number 3, Notre Dame cornerback. We're going back a little bit here. I believe 2014. I think he was drafted in the 6th round. Bennett Jackson. Someone that came in. There was talk of him moving to safety. There was talk of him staying at corner, and man, he was kind of a player. I think I've always kind of liked Notre Dame, so I was pretty pumped when we got him. And it just never worked out. I believe he also had some injury issues, his rookie year, and then kind of nothing ever really clicked. He was in the league for a little bit. He did try to play for the Jets and actually Baltimore recently, but I don't know if he actually has a chance to still play in the league. But he was just a player that I was excited to have come in with the Giants. It seemed like there was some promise when we drafted him. I want to say he was a corner, and we were talking about him playing safety. So I think that's kind of what was going on. Just never worked, had some talent, I think, but never worked. So that was number 3. Number 4 is Andre Williams, guy we drafted out of Boston College. Pretty pumped about him. We drafted him in the 4th round. I believe it was the 4th round. I'll double check that. 4th round. Okay. So this is a player that kind of came in right at the right time, really needed someone to be able to come in and play for us. Did get some starts his rookie year too because of injury. This was in 2014. He started 7 games for us. He had 217 carries, ran for 721 yards with 7 touchdowns. On paper, that's not a bad rookie year. You see 7 touchdowns. That's pretty cool. Really only 1 fumble, but he was slow, man. Like, if I remember right, when he came in, like, he was kind of a bowling ball. He'd kind of bounce off people and just keep his feet and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And never really did much after that. Even his 217 carries for 721 yards, it was actually only a 3.3 yards per carry average, which really actually isn't good. So, on paper, the numbers look decent, but they really aren't. Stuck around for a second year and, never started again, but he had 88 carries his second year with us for 257 yards. I think his biggest issue is he just really wasn't a receiving back. He wasn't a good pass blocker, if I remember correctly. Just a lot of little things for him that just didn't click. I think he would have been... I still think he could have been like that good goal line back or 3rd and short back if used properly, but it just never really clicked for what we were looking for. That could be more of an issue with the scheme that we were running at the time. I don't know. I believe that's getting right into like McAdoo territory and stuff like that. McAdoo into Shermer into 2017. Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe Shermer was 2018 actually. Just a player that just never panned out. I don't think he was fast enough. I don't think he was talented enough altogether. He couldn't put a full complement of tools together to make himself an asset to the team. He could do some things good, and that was about it. So they're just not going to cut it in the NFL, especially today. Obviously this wasn't this year or anything, but 2014's not too far different. My last guy, this is probably the guy that hurt the most for me. This is going back to 2004, same draft as Eli Manning. This guy for me was a player other than Eli Manning in this draft class that I was super, super pumped about. Always kind of like safeties, something I'll always kind of be intrigued by. Xavier McKinney, Landon Collins, unfortunately. Love safeties. Safeties have such a... I know it seems like they're kind of I don't want to say underutilized, but underpaid and kind of not looked at the same, but they can be such a deadly weapon if used correctly, and it's so exciting to see the Giants kind of trending in that direction right now. I love back, man, I couldn't tell you what year it was, but when they had like Stevie Brown and a couple other guys, they're running that 3 safety set. Antrell Roll, Stevie Brown, and I don't remember who the other guy was, but it was at Will Hill. Maybe it was around Will Hill time. But 3 safety sets can be dangerous. So Jabril Wilson, drafted out of Tennessee in the 5th round, came in his rookie year. He got hurt. He didn't do a lot for the Giants, if I remember correctly, but he did have 3 interceptions for his rookie year. Not too bad. Actually, he had a pretty good year. 3 interceptions. He had 5 pass defense, a forced fumble, 3 sacks, and 56 total tackles. So actually, he had a pretty good rookie year. His second season in 2005, he started 16 games, had 2 interceptions, had 5 pass defense, 114 tackles. So he really just kind of was showing, that he could be a player on this team and really help the team win. Third year, same thing, 15 starts instead of 16, so he was out of game. 2 interceptions, 10 pass defense. Had a good year, really good year that year. 103 tackles, 4 QB hits, just a good year. Unfortunately, 2007 comes along and he gets hurt. Things just weren't clicking. He only started 13 games. He had 4 interceptions, less tackles though, 92 tackles. I guess he still kind of had a decent year, and it was, I guess, a good enough year to where he actually left the team and was signed by Oakland. I believe I'll get into that in a second here. He had a pretty good offer from the Oakland Raiders to go there. Started 15 games for him, had 134 tackles, left the next year, went to Miami, stayed one more year in the league, went to Cincinnati, and was done. That's his career. He was someone that, did last with the Giants for 4 or 5 years, 4 years. Had a 7-year career in the NFL, but someone that I really thought would stick with the Giants, kind of be a long-term piece, and just a late draft steal there, really, too. Had a couple good seasons with the Giants, but just never stuck. I don't know if it was something where, defensive coordinator switching and just wasn't fitting what they wanted, or maybe he just wasn't playing as good. I don't know. That seems like a while ago, and I don't really remember exactly how he played at this point, but he was someone I always liked. All right, guys. Well, like I said, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast. I guess we're at about 20 minutes right now. We'll throw a couple different things in here too. But that's okay. I kind of really wanted to stick around 30 minutes for this podcast, keep it a little bit shorter, a little short, sweet, fun, kind of get into it a little bit. So yeah, let's get into the next little bit here, and that's going to be Eli Manning's start in the 2005 opening game. And this is going to be at Giants Stadium, 78,000 in attendance on September 11th, 2005. So, those are always, the September 11th games always kind of have a different feel just from 2001. So you always kind of got to love those games a little bit and kind of appreciate those games. Obviously, Coughlin was the coach for the Giants. Dennis Green was the coach for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not going to tell you who won until the end, but, we know who won. Giants get the ball. They get the first touchdown. Jeremy Shockey, 20-yard pass from Eli Manning. This is back when Neil Rackers was still kicking in the league, too. Kicked the field goal for the Cardinals. Really, I guess I won't go, score for score, but we get an interception return from Carlos Dansby to go up 10-7. That's not right. Oh, geez. Carlos Dansby's playing for the Cardinals at this point, so he gets an interception return, and the Cardinals go up 10-7. Neil Rackers kicks another field goal, 13-7 going into half. So at that point, you're probably like, ugh, typical Eli Manning start, not looking good. Let's see what happens. So second half comes along, and the fire is lit. Third quarter, 3 touchdowns. Fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns for the Giants. So Brandon Jacobs scores a 5-yard touchdown run. Tiki Barber scores a 21-yard touchdown run. Larry Fitzgerald gets a 1-yard touchdown pass from Kurt Warner. And, he was playing for the Giants a year before, so it's kind of ironic. Willie Ponder gets a 95-yard kick return. Plaxico Burress gets a 13-yard touchdown pass from Eli. And, and then we actually have a punt return after that by Chad Morton. Wow. So Giants end up winning this game 42-19. What a free agency class for this year as well. When you kind of go back and look at it for 2005, Giants signed Antonio Pierce from the Redskins to a 6-year deal. Numbers are kind of different from what they used to be or what they are now. We also signed Kareem McKenzie, Jay Feely, obviously Plaxico, huge signing at that point. We did lose a few players. I would say nothing too crazy, though. We lost Kurt Warner, Marcellus Rivers, Regan Upshaw, Wes Mallard. Nothing too crazy, I think, at that point. Steve Christie, Jesse Palmer re-signed with the Giants. Nick Greason re-signed. But really, you look at those big three: Antonio Pierce, Kareem McKenzie, and Plaxico Burress, and maybe even you consider the big four with Jay Feely as well, because he had some important roles in the teams moving forward. This was a sneaky good class for 2005 for the free agency signings. Obviously, Plax is the big one. Then I'd probably say Kareem McKenzie, then Antonio Pierce, and then Jay Feely. Definitely some really good signings, though. But getting back to the game, Kurt Warner for the Cardinals was 27 of 46 for 264 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception, was sacked 3 times. Josh McCown actually came in too, it looks like, and he threw the ball 10 times, 5 of them were completed, threw an interception as well. As far as the running game, it really was not existent. Marcel Shipp ran 7 times. J.J. Arrington ran 8. James Jackson ran once. Larry Fitzgerald had a good game, 13 catches for 155 yards, but not much else going on. Anquan was there. He had 4 for 62. Bryant Johnson really did nothing. Charles Lee, a name I vaguely remember. Eli Manning, kind of going through the stats, he threw a pick, which was returned, but a dominating win for the Giants. They won the game 42-19, but you look at his stat line and you're kind of like, oh, wow. He really wasn't that good. It was 10 for 23 for 172 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times. Not really a pretty game, but I guess you really shouldn't complain too much considering we won. And, it's kind of a dominating game. I feel like this was back when the Cardinals just weren't that good either, though. Tiki ran the ball for 13 times for 62 yards with a touchdown. Brandon Jacobs, 6 for 39 with a touchdown. Derek Ward had 4 for 23. Plax had 5 receptions for 76 yards. Jeremy Shockey, 2 for 29. Not much else to note at that point. Tim Carter had a catch for 7 yards. Amani didn't do much. He was targeted 4 times. Tyree, same thing, targeted twice, but really didn't do much. Defensively, Carlos Dansby had 2 picks for the Cardinals, but really not much else to speak of. A couple sacks, Orlando Huff, Bertrand Berry. For the Giants, Jabril Wilson had a pick for 17 yards returned, and he had 1 pass defense. He had 4 tackles, solo tackles. Not much else going on, though. Strahan, sack and a half. Antonio Pierce combined for a sack. That's about it, though, guys. Really nothing too exciting. I want to be able to, talk about these games a little bit more from memory. But, we get back this far. For me, this was, 2005. I just graduated high school, or actually maybe this is the year I'm going to graduate high school. So a lot going on in my life. I do remember watching these games, but man, I just don't remember a lot about them. As we kind of get through this a little bit further, I think it'll be a little bit more fun because I'll be able to kind of remember some plays and remember stuff about Eli that really stick out to me. Guys, that's all I have for this episode. I appreciate you joining me. We should be back to a little bit more of a normal schedule going forward here, and hopefully we'll be getting more back into that. Once a week. Once training camp comes, maybe twice, or at least once the season starts, we'll start doing twice a week. Guys, I appreciate you joining me once again. Thanks for being patient with me. And for the moment, let's frickin' go.